Okay, howdy sports fans, Mr. Nelson here. I am kind of sick, you can probably hear it, but I have part 3 of our Completing the Square series of videos to finish here. In video 1, we just kind of learned what completing the square was. In video 2, we did some kind of basic word problems, and we finished up with problems around calculating area. So let's pick up on that then. In the last video, we looked at a farmer who was making a fence around his field, his or her field, and they decide that, okay, so let's say in this case, let's say we're working with 800 meters of fencing, okay? But this time he has to break he or she has to break their farm into two rectangles. That's part of what they have to do. So there has to be a third fencing down somewhere in between these two parts. So if that's the case, and they say what's the maximum area that they can enclose with these parameters. So what we do is the same thing here. So we're going to say that this side is A and this side is B. Okay, so we have a B here and a B here and an A up here. This is our perimeter again. So I can say that 1, 2A, 2A, plus 1, 2, 3, 3 B's is going to be our total amount of fencing that we're going to need. Okay, because this plus this plus this plus this plus this should all equal 800. And then our second parameter is that our A max must equal A times B. Our total area is going to be A times B, because this doesn't really take away from the area. So from that, we'll start with this formula here, and we will convert it into one letter. So choose a letter. I want to work with, you know what, I'm going to make this 600 just so my numbers don't work out, because I'm sick. You know, I can't be dealing with decimals. Okay, so let's make that 600. Okay, so I say, okay, I'm going to work with, I'll choose A. So let's isolate for A. So I get 2A is equal to 600 minus 3B. And then I solve for A, I get 2. Oh, done it again. Well, I'll have to work with decimals here. So I get A is equal to 300 minus 1.5B. Okay, so every time I see A in here, I can replace it with this. So I get A max is equal to 300 minus 1.5B times B. And that gives me A max is equal to 300B minus 1.5B squared. Okay? And this is what we're going to complete the square on to find our A max. So let's go through that process there, shall we? Completing the square. So many pens in my hand. Oh, okay, so I get A max is equal to, now I want to have the negative 1.5 be in the front. My B squared should be my first term, plus 300B. And there's a 0, plus 0. So again, I don't want anything in front of my squared term, my B squared there. So I'm going to pull out a negative 1.5. I get A max is equal to negative 1.5 B squared. Now, what multiplied by 1.5 gives 400 or 300? I'm thinking it's 200 times 1.5. It has to be negative because this sign, what times
what times what gives positive 300? Negative 200. B. Okay. And then I say, okay, negative 200 divided by 2 is negative 100. Negative 100 squared is 1,000. So plus 1,000 here, minus 1,000. And don't worry about the 0 because it's a 0. So, I'm sorry if you can't see, I'll try to move over a little bit. So I get A max is equal to negative 1.5 B squared minus 200B plus 1,000 minus 1,000. Okay, and this is my perfect square trinomial, so I get A max is equal to negative 1.5 B minus 100 squared minus 1,000. And then I'll distribute this negative 1.5, I'll multiply it by here, and I'll multiply it by here. So I get A max is equal to negative 1.5 B minus 100 squared. 1.5 times 1,000 is negative times negative is a positive 1,500. And that is my formula. So what does this tell me? Well, this tells me when B is equal to a P, so when B is equal to P, knowing that P is equal to 100, P is 100, so B is equal to 100, therefore A is equal to 300 minus 1.5B, so 300 minus 1.5 times 100 is minus 150, so A is 150. So these are the dimensions for A and B, and I guess they should be in meters. And my A max is equal to my Q, my vertex. So my vertex is 100, 1,500 for this formula. And the Y, which is my A max, is 1,500 meters square area. And that happens when I have A is 150 and B is 100. Okay, so that's how you do that. So let's it's not even going to be complicated. Let's just add a curveball to this question. And I know I erased right after I finished the problem, but y'all have paused. So let's say we have a farmer, and I'm going to make this really pretty. So they live on a nice river, okay? Their farm lives on a river. And let's just say that one side of the river is perfectly straight with their land. They did some landscaping there, but this is still a river here, okay? And they have, I'm going to pull some numbers out of my hat. They have, let's say they have 500 meters of fencing, okay? And they want to use the river to fence off the largest area of land they can, okay? So A max. So in order to do that, they're going to have an A, and they're going to have a B and a B here, okay? So again, the question is, what are the dimensions A and B to maximize their land? So in this case, again, our perimeter is going to be A plus 2B now is equal to 500. Okay, because we don't have to worry about the river side. It's going to take care of itself. That acts as a natural fence. So we get that. And then we get, the other part is A max is equal to A times B again. This is still going to give us our area. So let's solve for A in this guy. So A is equal to 500 minus 2B
And that's that. That's our formula for A here. Now I can take this and put it back in here. And so I get A max is equal to A, which is 500 minus 2B, times B. And so A max is equal to 500B minus 2B squared. And now I can complete the square on this formula. So let's do that. So I have A max, I'm going to move this right over, A max, and I want to have my squared term in the front is equal to negative 2B squared plus 500B, plus my invisible 0, which is right there, plus 0, so I can move this 0 out of the way, it doesn't matter, I just don't even deal with it. And then I have A max, I don't want anything in front of my squared term, in front of my B squared, so I'm going to pull out a negative 2, and that makes it B squared. What times negative 2 gives me 500? Negative 250. And then, negative 250 divided by 2 is negative 125. Ooh, let's see, right back to the 125. Okay, I'm grabbing a calculator now. I don't know what 125 squared is. Sue me. It's because I'm sick. Exit. Oh. Okay, good. 125 squared. 15625. So plus, so 125 squared is 15625, and then 15625. I can't just add a number out of the blue, so I'm adding a net 0 here, okay? That's what I'm doing here. I haven't really changed this because this is net 0. But this is a perfect square trinomial, so I write it out. B minus 125 squared, and then I pull this down to minus 15625. Whoops. And then I get A max is equal to, now I can distribute this negative 2, multiply this out here and out here, so I get negative 2 B minus 125 squared, and then negative 2 times negative that is plus 31,250. Alrighty, and that is the formula for A max. So my vertex occurs at 125 and 31250. 31250 is my A max, and this is my B. So I get B is 125 meters. And then therefore A is 500 minus 2B. So A is 500 minus 125 is 375. 500 minus 2B. So 500 minus 2 times 125. So I was off, so A is actually 250 meters. And then these two numbers multiplied by each other should give us 31250, and that's our area max, which is right there. Area max is 31250. You probably can't read that because it's out of shot, so I'll go in here. A max is 31250 meters squared. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Okay. One last type of question here that I'm going to do. Ready or not? My artwork is falling. Kaden, oh! one is from my notes. So I'm just gonna write down the details. So it tells me student ski prices at Whistler are sold for $20 each. Yeah, right. Nice try. All right, this is already fake. JK. So 300 students are willing to buy them at that $20 price. Of course they are. For every $5 increase, 30 fewer students will buy the tickets. Okay, so you have 300 students buying tickets at $20 each. Okay? And we know for every $5 increase, well, I wrote that clearly. So every $5 increase, you lose 30 fewer students will buy tickets. 30 fewer students buy tickets. And so we want to know what price, the price that's going to give us our max revenue. So our revenue max is equal to what? Okay, so from all this information, we know two things. First off, we know our max revenue is going to be our price times the amount of tickets sold. Okay, so P is price per ticket, price ticket, and T is number tickets sold. Okay, and then our max is our max revenue. So we know this, and then we know that for every $5 increase, 30 fewer students will buy. But we know that we're starting at $30, 300 students and $20. So what this means is, and I'll use blue for this, is our total tickets sold is going to be equal to whatever we're starting at, 300, and we know that minus, we're losing 30 for every $5 increase. So how do we write that? Well, our price minus $20 divided by, our price minus $20 divided by $5 will tell us how many $5 increases we've had. And then if I multiply 30 by that number of $5 increases, I'll get the right information. So our price, our ticket price, P, minus 20, our baseline for $320, divided by 5. This in here is going to tell us how many $5 increases we had. Because say for example, I sold them for $30. Well, 30 minus 20 is 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2. I've had two $5 increases, and if I multiply that by 30, it tells me that I will have 60 fewer people buy tickets. Because I've had two sets of these $5 increases that have that. So that's what this formula does for me. Okay, so now this is my, hello. Hey, you watch your mouth when I'm making videos. Okay, so then, real funny. Okay, so then, that is my second formula. So every time I see T, I'm going to replace it with my formula for T here. You're weird. Nobody wants to hear you laughing in my video. Okay, you're ruining my video. You're just ruining. Just go. Just go. Go. No, you can't stand here. Get up. I'm making a video. Okay, fine. Whatever. Whatever. Students suck. Hey, I'm doing math right now. So, let's do that. Let's turn this into, so I have R max is equal to P times 300 minus 30. Oh no. Minus 30. Oh, I just. P minus 20 over 5.
Okay, and so what does this do? Now I have to distribute this. So I get R max is equal to 300p minus 30p, so minus 30p squared divided by 5, plus 600p divided by 5. And I'll fix this up. I get R max is equal to negative 6p squared. And then this is 120. 300 plus 120 plus 420p. And there's my formula for R max. Now I can go through and I can solve this using my completing the square method. I'll have to take out the negative 6, do what I do, and then at the end I will get a number for the price, and then I can find out the number of tickets sold from that price using this formula, and then my R max will be my Q. That'll be my max revenue. I gotta go now. So yes, thank you for watching. Bye.